Thank you for tuning in to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm CJ.
And I'm Chip.
And we have an interesting show for you today. I want to start out right away. As many of you may have heard by now, the mayor's 3 for 3. 3 attempts at a casino, 3 failures. Kind of sucks for Fall River, I guess. Although there are many people in Fall River who didn't want it. And Troy City Productions had the privilege of taping a lecture by a Connecticut congressman speaking about what the casinos did to the communities where they're located in Connecticut. But it's very interesting to see how as soon as something comes up that's important to Fall River, the magical casino comes out of the woodwork, and that solves all our problems. And to be honest, the administration was depending on those hosting fees. So when Foxwoods did not sign that hosting fee agreement, that kind of put a kibosh on that. But it's, again, another failure for the mayor, and more especially for the Office of Economic Disaster. I think I saw an atomic bomb go off. I'm not sure.
Well, again, another indication of why Fall River never succeeds at anything. There's never any planning, never any research on any issue. I think Spindle City Straight Talk was talking about the financial woes of Foxwoods long before it was in the paper yesterday, and that they were not on sound financial footing. They were having issues, and lo and behold, the city is now saying, well, one of their backers pulled out. Well, just as with this budget, and just as with Dominion, the only people that seem to not know what's going on are the mayor and our law department and the Office of Economic Development. We have to add that.
Yeah, we have to add
They
that.
always come along for the ride, but that's the problem. And what bothers me most about this is that the false hope. They always, there's always, there's this rainbow, this pot of gold all the time, and they never look at reality. And this is why, we're still dealing with the budget. We're still dealing with pay as you throw. Now we have the casino, and of course he hasn't ruled out the casino. He said we're still open to other investors coming into the city and stuff. So they hold that glimmer, that little thread of hope out there, when we should be getting down to the business of running our city and finding out where the money is and making sure that we're using the money to pay for essential services. But no, again, we stand in line waiting for happy hour, and it never comes.
Well, it's interesting because yesterday, the organization that was trying to get the question back on the ballot to repeal casino gaming in Massachusetts got enough signatures and turned them in to the Secretary of State's office. Now, Martha Coakley, in her wisdom, is going to go to the Supreme Judicial Court to have it struck down, saying that we've already entered into contracts with casinos, and they spent a lot of money. And if this passes to repeal casino gaming, these casinos will be out a lot of money. Now, granted, there's some planning money that goes into it that they're not going to get back, but all the monies they paid for licenses and application fees and everything else can easily be refunded by the state by writing a check. Oh, wait, maybe that money's not there anymore. Maybe it's already been spent. But I don't think the state runs their budget like the city of Fall River does.
Yeah, well, obviously they don't want to see this on a ballot. It's going to be a very close vote because, there are a lot of anti-casino people. They're philosophically opposed to gambling, and I can understand that. But the reality is that there are other people who are not philosophically opposed to gambling, but they want more money, and casinos will cost them money because, as I said on another show, the lottery, and ironically enough, most of these anti-gambling people are not against the lottery because they say, well, it brings money to the city. Well, it was funny. They just released some of the figures on how much cities and towns get from the lottery, and towns like Wellesley get 4 times more than they put in. They're very rich communities. Very few people pay the lottery. I think they spent $100,000 in total in an entire year in Wellesley, and they got almost over 400,000 back. So they got 4 times more than they put in, where Fall River barely gets what it puts into the lottery. So a lot of these small communities don't want to see casino gambling, because if casino gambling comes in, the casino pays the host fee to the area it's in.
Correct.
Not to them. And they're actually going to lose revenue into their communities. So there's another factor there that has absolutely nothing to do with whether you're for or against gambling. It's got to do with their taking care of their own self-interest.
But isn't it interesting that even in gaming, in this instance, Fall River is still loser. I mean,
well, yeah.
We give them more money than we get back.
Yeah.
So obviously, they say, "Oop, deep pockets there. Let's take it all and give it to Newton and Wellesley." I mean,
yeah. Well, we understand. The Lottery Commission is a very political organization. It's the dumping ground for a lot of politically connected people's relatives. They get jobs at the Lottery Commission. And the fact is, the lottery is disproportionately, because those people are reps up there. They take care of their communities. But the fact is, Fall River is always last because, again, back to lack of planning, lack of presence of forethought to look. They say research. There's an old saying when you learn how to scuba dive. It's called. They say, plan your dive and dive your plan. You have to plan things. There's the old saying that poor planning results in piss poor performance. The fact is, Fall River never plans anything. I mean, New Bedford had already approved the casino, and then they went out and got a casino. We hadn't even had a referendum yet on the casino, and we always put the cart before the horse. And when people come in here, and it's ironic because I hear people go to front of council and say they laugh at us, because it's not because we don't have high taxes. It's because everything we do is backwards. We never research, we never plan. Half the time, we're telling you things months before they did. Now, the city of Fall River just found out that Foxwoods was in a tenuous situation financially. I think we've been talking about it for about 4 months on this show. But I mean, I don't know why they can't figure it out, because we can find it.
It's the thing that gets me, though, is that it seems like our administration, our finance committee, our Office of Economic Destruction, I keep changing the name, and yes, there's a reason, seem to be ostriches. They bury their heads right in the sand, and hopefully it goes by, and they won't have to deal with it. Hopefully it just kind of blows by like the wind, and, oh, see, we're fine, and they have nothing to back up what they say. And I mean, even listening to the mayor and to Kathy Ann Viveris, and even to Ken Fiola, you hear the stories change out of each one of them every time they sit down to address the council or the press or anyone. I was listening to the radio this morning coming in, and on the show, they had a person who deals with a lot of people from low-income backgrounds. And while they were kind of using a broad brush to paint this person, he has like 32 aliases. And he can keep his aliases, the fake social security numbers, the dates of birth, all of that straight. But our city can't even keep a dime in the bank. I can't understand it. Do you have to have a criminal mentality to do it? I mean, because so far, that mentality doesn't seem to be working anywhere.
No, the problem is that, we've allowed, and I say we've allowed because, Mark Twain, as I think I said on the last show, said politicians like diapers. They should be changed often and for the same reason, because they're full of what excrement. So the fact is that, we've allowed this to happen. I mean, it seems like, P.T. Barnum said there's a sucker born every minute. Well, I think that it's every millisecond in Fall River, because the people are so easily duped. It's like they tell you, the rainbow, the pot of gold's around the corner, and nobody pays attention. I mean, it was 5 years ago, because he's into his 5th year now.
Yes, he is.
5 years ago, when Carrere was mayor, everybody was told what the financial straits the city was in. Mayor Correa at the time had pay cuts, layoffs, everything to keep the city financially solvent. And then Mayor Flanagan gets in, and it's like we hit the lottery, and nobody questions that. It's like, how could we go from needing to reduce people, ask for pay cuts, to throwing out raises, hiring all kinds of people, increasing our budget, and then listening to these budget presentations that we've said time and time again, they are not real budgets. They're predicated on state money, federal money, money that we might get, money that we could get. And look what happens. The result is this. But then when you question this, they use their age-old tactic. You're a naysayer. You are an obstructionist.
Well, in my case,
you hate Fall River.
In my case, the enemy. Remember that.
The enemy. You hate Fall River. No, we don't. As a matter of fact, we love Fall River. That's why we're some of the few people that still live here.
That's right.
And we're there because it's not about self-interest. It's about, we want to see the community get better. And we can't by using the ostrich approach. You can't bury your head in the sand and make promises. People are talking about receivership, and something, maybe, as I said, maybe it's time to have a totally neutral person doesn't give any, doesn't care about Fall River, come in and look at the books and say, wow, something, you guys are way out of whack with this. We have to get the money, lay it out, and put this city back on sound financial footing, because apparently our financial team and our mayor and our political bodies just don't get it. How long are we going to continue to tax and spend and tax and spend? We're like always 5 to 10 years behind the learning curve and everything in Fall River. It's like we heard the tax and spend mentality in Washington years ago. And now, here we are doing the same thing. I don't see any layoffs from the law department or any other jobs. And then we wonder why we run out of money. We're going to lay off essential personnel, but we raise taxes and we raise fees. I mean, that's the recipe to disaster. You can't continue to spend money you don't have. If we don't go into receivership now, we will be in receivership soon.
Well, it's true, and when you look right now at what the administration and the finance team is doing, with the school department budget, we already know that this year there's a $2.8 million shortfall on net school spending. We know that. And there's that much of a shortfall in the budget for fiscal year 14 as it is. But the mayor says, oh no, we can carry that over because they won't certify that money until October. So when they certify that money shortfall in October, then we'll come back and address it? That doesn't seem to work for me. And when your budget that you're currently preparing is already in a shortfall or a deficit, you're just adding more debt on top of debt. So what I did was I went to the legislature and I asked formally for the exact amount of money expected to be sent to Fall River under Chapter 70 for the school department. Because it's rumored that they're being, and I have to say rumored because I have no confirmations yet, that there's $106 million being sent to Fall River for the school department, for the school, for education. But the mayor's only proposing a $97 million budget. And then the city school department under Meg Mayo Brown is proposing a $99 million budget. Okay, so under the city administration, where's the other 9? And under Meg Mayo Brown, where's the other 7?
Well, there are a lot of questions. It's just our budget is what? Just over $250 million. Yet a year ago, I heard the former city administrator say we were $500 million, $500 million in debt. The numbers never jive. I'm on the healthcare committee. I'm the PEC representative for the retirees. There was just a problem with that committee. The city wanted to go to a premium-based plan, and now they can't. Why? Because they can't scrape up $500,000 over a year. because they have to pay the incurred but not reported claims. Claims run about $4 million a month. So they should have $8 million set aside for incurred but not reported, but there's only $7.5 million. And they had to go back to a self-insurer because they can't scrape up $500,000 over the next year. That shows how tight the finances are. And let's face it, when you have a budget that we're talking $250 million and you can't find $500,000,
You've got a problem.
you've got serious problems.
And you know, the thing is that's the first problem, is that you can't find it, and that's a major problem. But the other problem is that money's supposed to be in an account already. All those monies were budgeted, and those monies were put into accounts. So if the money's not in the accounts and they don't have it, who's got it? Where did it go?
Well, you know, that's the whole problem with our budget. Money just seems to disappear. Just as we have $6 million in the employee trust fund, and it's a 3-to-1 ratio of contribution, and the question was asked by the city council, where's the city's matching funds? Treasurer said there's 134,000. There should be at least 18 million or maybe 12 million, even if there's only 12. I mean, you know, what's 6 million between friends? But I mean, to me, there's a pretty huge difference between $12 million and 134,000. Yet, that money has never been accounted for. Nobody knows where it went. Nobody knows how it was spent. And it should be there. Our healthcare is running 10% under budget. Where is the city's money for 10% under budget? Just like the firefighters. The firefighters were reduced in last year's fiscal budget by 11 positions. They figured $100,000 per position. So that's 1.1 million. Where did that money go? It's not in this year's budget either, if they don't get pay as you throw. As a matter of fact, they're going down 13 positions, so that's 1.3 million. So let's, for the sake of argument, say pay as you throw doesn't come in, even though our Führer said he doesn't care, he's going to put it in. The fact is, if that's where is that 1.3 million going to go if it's not going to the fire department? Where did it go in FY 2014? I want to know. We've asked that question time and time again in front of the council, and the council has asked our financial team, and we've never gotten an answer. I don't know about you, but I know where all my money is.
You know, and the thing is that pay as you throw, people have a lot of misconceptions about it, because they say that money is going to pay for the firefighters that we need and the police officers we need, but that's not what it's going to do. In reality, the money that you pay to throw away your trash goes into what's called an enterprise fund. And that enterprise fund was created under Mayor Bob Correa because he was considering doing that back then. So the enterprise fund already exists. Now, an enterprise fund, like the water department, means that it has to be self-sufficient. It means it has to pay all of its expenses out of the monies derived from the trash collection. That money can't be used to pay for firefighters. That money can't be used to pay for police, can't be used to pay for schools. Instead, what they do is, because the city no longer has to fund that portion of the budget for DCM, they take that money and roll it into other things. But here's the problem. If they take $3.5 million, which is their projection of how much they're going to make with pay-as-you-throw, and 10, 15, or 20% of the property owners leave pay-as-you-throw, there won't be $3.5 million there. Now, when I asked Ken Pacheco about that, he says, that's fine. We can still make it work because I won't have that trash to dispose of. You won't have that trash to dispose of, but you'll still have the same amount of employees to support, which means there's less money available elsewhere. And my personal opinion is, not that I distrust Ken Pacheco, because as many people feel, Ken Pacheco is probably one of the most, honest people as a city in city administration that there's been in a very long time. But under city history, and obviously this city never learns from it, because what do? They always repeat it. Money gets taken from accounts that they shouldn't be taking it from. So the question then becomes, do we want to leave waste management in DCM's hand? Or should they, which they should, create a separate Department of Waste Management, separate from DCM? That way, there will be in no way, shape, or form the possibility of anyone from waste management to work on potholes and nobody who works on potholes to work in collecting trash. And I'm talking to more and more people, and I'm seeing more and more people who are leaving city trash collection. So, Mr. Mayor and Kathy Ann, I think you really need to look at what your budget proposals are going to look like if more people leave the trash collection process at the city office. But, again, in an effort to curb this, Ken Pacheco said that he is going to ask the city council to pass an ordinance which requires trash haulers that come into Fall River to, I guess, pay a fee or guarantee that recyclables will be recycled. And he's trying to add another cost to the trash haulers. This way, they don't want to take the trash out of Fall River, or they make it more expensive for property owners to use the privatization portion. This obviously is an outright blatant attempt at restriction of trade practice and is illegal. And I'm quite sure that if the city council passes an ordinance of that type, that it will be struck down in the courts. And not only will that happen, but I think the city will be on the hook for the legal fees for the waste haulers.
Not only that, whatever happened to business-friendly atmosphere? I keep hearing it. We have to make the community more business-friendly. We have to, encourage businesses. But if businesses infringe on our ability to gouge the taxpayer, well, we can restrict them. I just did a couple quick figures on my calculator. $3.5 million comes out to about $291,000 a month. Just the firefighters they're going to put on are going to come to almost $200,000 a month in salaries. So realistically, we don't have a big fudge factor there. As you said, CJ, if people begin to go to private trash collection and they begin not to get it, if people begin to throw trash out their windows like they're doing in Worcester and leaving things all over the streets as they're doing in Worcester, even though, of course, the city brought someone down to say how great it was working in Worcester. And then last week there was an article in the paper saying it's a total disaster up there. They've turned the city into a dump. Well, guess what? What's going to happen? Again, we're going to be short of money. We're short. We can't pay the health care money to go to a premium plan that the city administrator wanted. It was her request. We wanted to stay as a self-insurer in the first place. She wanted to go to a premium. The fact is that, we're on a shoestring here. We're like a juggler juggling 3 chainsaws standing on a tennis ball with 1 foot. Your chances of not cutting an arm off are not too good.
Well, it's interesting because, again, we're at the, you say a shoestring. I think a shoestring has more strength than this city has. I think we're more on a real soggy spaghetti noodle, and we're slowly cracking here. But we have to do something, and the only thing, everybody out there likes the politicians they like. Some like Mayor Flanagan, some dislike him, some think he should be thrown off the bridge. Some people like Pat Casey's, some people don't like Pat Casey, other people think she should be thrown off a bridge. And we figured out a way to make some money for Fall River and provide a source of entertainment. We're going to have the Throw Your Politician from the Bridge committee. We're going to take bets on who hits the water first and how much noise they make. That was a good one. You have to remember, that was, we're not being serious here. We're just joking, but, I mean, that's how we feel. The people of Fall River are so frustrated, they want to do something. And when you look at now how even our state Department of Housing and Community Development wants to violate the law and put a housing project back at the Watuppa Heights site. Why? To bring in more people from out of town, so that we have more of a social service demand, more of a demand on our hospital services, more in our public schools, and not get any money for that. And that's the big problem. They say, oh, well, you know what? We'll put them in Fall River. They don't care. And we're the ones taking the hit. Mike Rodricks is livid. Alan Sylvia is ready to throw, pop a cork. And we can't do anything?
Well, one of the first problems we have to do is take the clause out of the housing director's contract that says he gets a bonus based on occupancy. Because actually, Dave Sullivan and everybody, that started with Richard Viveris, they put in a contract that he got his base salary and he got a bonus for having more residents. So the higher the the total of residents, the more money they get. So, you know, we have a catch-22. We have a catch-22 here. And again, what are we bringing into the city? We're bringing into the city people who number one, are not prime job applicants. So you know, people were talking about the great workforce we had, and I believe I said on another show that workforce has evaporated because most of them have left the city.
Right.
And live in the suburbs, or have gone to Boston, or gone to where their jobs are, and we're left with a very high percentage of people who are virtually unemployable. And you know, you talked about politicians, CJ. You know, you know, it's always been a pet peeve with me. I can like somebody as an individual, but not like, you know, their politics. And that's one of the problems at Fall River. You know, you can't elect somebody to the city council because they make a good cheeseburger or a spaghetti dinner. You can't elect someone to the city council because they groomed your dog, you know, and you like them, or they worked on a committee with you. People think that's like a no-show position. Well, guess what? It is a no-show. They haven't showed up in a very, very long time. That's why people are moving out of the city. That's why the tax rates are through the roof. That's why the fees are going up. That's why you're getting pay as you throw. That's why the government doesn't care on how much burden they put on you. And guess what? That burden is not going to get easier if we continue down this path, because nobody's going to move into Fall River. People are going to, anybody who can move out will move out. And the only way to turn that around is put people in those seats who care about the taxpayers. You know, if you like Pat Casey, buy her a coffee, but don't put her in that seat.
That, you know, I can't argue with you there, but I will say one thing. It may very well be time that the people of Fall River understand that this is your fault. This is your fault. You want to believe the lies because you know what? The lies are easy to take. You want to believe that we're going to get a casino with tons of jobs, or, you know, the tax rate's not going to go up, or, you know, pay as you throw is the best thing to keep firefighters. It's not, okay? That's not what happens, okay? What happens is that you elect your friends. You elect people who really don't care about Fall River, even though they sit there at the city council chamber or at the mayor's desk at all his photo ops, or as a school committee person say, I care about Fall River, but your votes for them come out and the reports that they give are wrong and the votes they make are wrong. So with that, I would like to thank you for watching Spindle City Straight Talk. Be watching us again. Contact us and let us know what you have going on and the stuff you want us to follow. It's been great to be here with you, and thanks for letting us share your home. Have a great day.
Have a good day and vote wisely.